All right, so let's take you back to our top story now. Speculation continues to mount over who will make it to President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet. That announcement expected sometime this week. The president's spokesperson, Khusela Diko, is in studio with us now to explain exactly what the cause of the delay is. Good morning to you, ma'am.
Good morning, Oli, and thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you. The president, that announcement is highly anticipated in the country. People are waiting with bated breath to see, finally, the composition of his cabinet. When is the announcement going to be made?
Well, the presidency did issue a statement yesterday where, again, we were trying to really manage the speculation that you're talking about. We'd noted media reports that the president is expected to announce a cabinet today. He has, however, decided that he'd like to take his time, apply his mind thoroughly, consult as widely as possible, as well as to ensure that any other deliberations that he would want to take with any other person before he exercises his prerogative is able to do so. So the president had said that later on this week, that means before Friday, he will have announced new members of the executive.
Specific day?
He hasn't given us a specific day. And I think, Oli, there's no reason to panic. The Constitution says that the president must assume office within 5 days of being elected by the National Assembly. That was a time frame that we made comfortably on Saturday when he was sworn in. Now it then says soon thereafter he must elect a cabinet. Now what is expected is that there must not be any undue delay. As he exercises his powers, he must do so obviously in a manner that remains rational, and he will announce a cabinet in due course.
Might I then go into the speculation rumor mill, if you like, and ask you the question, is the delay possibly caused by the number of people, some of whom have been sworn in, others of course not sworn in, like the deputy president, the uncertainty around these people's eligibility to be included in cabinet? Just the other day you had the public protector, Bosisiwe Mkhwebane, pronouncing that Pravin Gordhan should perhaps not be appointed into the president's cabinet because, she came out and made some averments in as far as his eligibility is concerned. Is this the consideration?
Well, the number of considerations, and obviously things such as the ones that you mentioned would feature into that. Remember, Oli, the president had made a commitment that this particular cabinet would be leaner, it would be more efficient, which means reducing the number of cabinet posts that he would be appointing. This is a first in South Africa. No president has ever reduced cabinet before. So he's taking his time looking not only at the number of cabinet positions that are there, but how do you ensure that whatever reconfiguration you come up with, the cabinet is able to work more efficiently, is able to lead government more efficiently. So consultations with the former Minister of Public Service and Administration, Ayanda Dlodlo, would have taken place. But also in terms of the governing party, the African National Congress that the president leads, and which would have obviously deployed him as President of the Republic, he's also duty-bound to consult with the national officials of the African National Congress as well as alliance partners. This is to ensure that ultimately whomever is elected, is appointed into cabinet, there's a great deal of representativity. You have women, you have youth, you have geographical spread, but most importantly you have capable men and women of integrity who are able to take the work of the sixth administration forward.
The position of deputy president remains that which is indeed in the minds of South Africans because of what has happened. Is the deputy president eligible to be included in that cabinet?
The
current deputy president of the ANC, I should say.
Yes. The deputy president of the African National Congress is not a member of parliament. And the constitution is very clear that the president must select the deputy president from members of the National Assembly. So while Deputy President Mabuza has not yet been sworn in, he unfortunately is not eligible for cabinet. I do understand, however, that he has requested a postponement of his swearing in by parliament. And obviously, if that is done, and the president exercises his prerogative to appoint him, then he becomes eligible like any other member of parliament.
Is the president inclined to respond to Public Protector Bosisiwe Mkhwebane's request that perhaps Mr. Gordhan should not be included in the cabinet?
Well, I'm not sure if that is contained in the remedial action that the public protector has put in her report. What I do know is that she has directed that the president must discipline Mr. Pravin Gordhan for the issues that she raises in her report. Now, we further understand that Mr. Gordhan will be taking that report on review, and we would obviously seek clarity from the court whether that particular remedial action would wait until the review is completed.
On Friday, Ms. Diko, there was an announcement that Mr. Pagamani Hadebe at Eskom is not going to continue. In fact, is stepping down in July. Surely this will come as devastating news to the president.
It is indeed, and that's because the president, together with the team that was led by Minister Gordhan at Public Enterprises, have worked very hard to seek to stabilize the management of Eskom. There are a number of problems that continue to plague the energy utility. So obviously losing, the head of the executive team there is a blow, which is going to affect the progress that has been made. But we have no doubt once cabinet has been appointed, stabilized, we'll start the work to ensure that indeed we begin to reverse that backtrack that we would have suffered in that regard.
Well, talk is that perhaps what may have irked Mr. Hadebe, of course, we know that his official statement says that for health reasons he is stepping aside, but there was this talk of a chief turnaround officer or strategist at Eskom, and that perhaps that person would have much more say or a bigger say than the group CEO. Is there any truth to that? That perhaps could
I would not know. I wouldn't want to speculate on rumors. I think what we've got on the record is the reasons that Mr. Hadebe has given for his departure. So I really wouldn't want to feed into those rumors.
The statement on Friday mentioning that there will be a steady transition, particularly within the next 2 weeks, of Mr. Hadebe's announcement that he won't be returning. Who is likely to take over from him?
Again, only that speculation. I think let's wait for the official announcements to be made as it relates to Eskom. Eskom, as the president usually says, is too important, too big to be allowed to fail. So I have no doubt that soon measures will be undertaken there to ensure that we stabilize that institution. There's many problems to deal with, whether it's issues of leadership, whether it's issues of capacity that Eskom has, whether it's skills, whether it's the maintenance program that is not as efficient as we would like it to be. So I think let's wait for those official announcements to be made and really work together to get Eskom back on the right path.
Just on the size of cabinet, 72 members currently. Speculation that it's going to be cut down to 32. Where are we in as far as that?
If I knew the answer to that, I'd be the president. The president has indicated his determination to ensure that you read. In fact, on the day that he announces cabinet, he's also intending to sign into law the new ministerial handbook. So this is part and parcel of his thinking of trimming any excess, taking off any fat, ensuring that cabinet is able to function in a manner that breaks down silos, that ensures that there's integration in the work of government, and definitely a smaller cabinet. So
for the record, on ENCA, you're telling us that on the day that he announces his cabinet, he also is going to announce the reconfiguration of cabinet?
Yes. When he announces the structure of cabinet, he will also announce the people who are then going to fill those positions in cabinet. The reconfiguration entails a reduced cabinet. I cannot tell you reduced in terms of how many positions that have been cut there, but definitely a leaner and more efficient government.
Just finally, I'll call it a sidebar. I was just talking to my colleague Pamanda Goke in KZN. He tells me that, part of the reason why the former President Jacob Zuma didn't attend the inauguration on Saturday was that he feels irked by the decision to renege on the agreement to finance his legal battle with the NPA. How has the president responded to his successor, or predecessor I should say, not attending his inauguration? Surely that's something that is unusual, perhaps.
Well, the president hasn't expressed himself on that matter. There were a number of heads of state, former heads of state that were invited. Not all of them were able to make it. I do know that former President Jacob Zuma was in contact with the Director General in the presidency to obviously indicate to him that he would not be available to attend. So it's a pity. We would have loved to have the immediate past president who at the inauguration, but unfortunately, due to circumstances, he could not make it.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Khusela Diko, she speaks for President Cyril Ramaphosa.